to millions of people in Manila. And if, because of running out, if they want a more economical solution, $100 million would build the backup pipeline right to Batangas, so that in the event that there was a problem with the gas that's coming in short air from Palawan, you could certainly have a backup, a very economical backup. Keeping in mind that the pipeline from Palawan comes around here, so it's, again, these are some of the pipelines we built. And vehicle fueling stations also the Department of Energy want to introduce, and we gave them a proposal that once we have the LNG coming in, we can build, the red one will be phase one, and we can slowly build out the fueling stations. And the fueling station does two things. Some of them use compressed natural gas. So the way they do it, the big trucks will use LNG directly. So what they do, you can bring in the LNG, so it's easier to transport. And from here, it's either converted to natural gas, compressed natural gas, or you can leave it for LNG to go into a bigger truck. So you have a combination of both. City gas. This is what I wanted to tell you earlier. LPG today costs you about 1,200 US a ton equivalent when you add it all up. LNG coming in is about 400 a ton. So I think people would see that using city gas would be quite an advantage in the future. So, as we've been requested, some of the other areas, we've been Mindanao, Marinduque, Subic Bay, Batangas, we've been now asked to look at these areas. And by just having a smaller terminal, even with a small power station, this is Mindanao, this one is Cebu on Mactan. And again, what we said is if you've got shallow water and no land, it's quite easy to do it all on piles so that you're not disturbing or taking valuable land. Bohol, we took a look at. I know they're going to put something in there. Again, that was Palawan. Subic talked to us. Again, the hub. Now, one of the things we've been looking at, the Department of Energy asked me to look at Mindanao because, as you know, the President comes from Mindanao. Now, I remember when President Ramos, he came from up north, and I built a power station in his province. There was a power station built at Sual. So the Department of Energy asked us to go, and we had a meeting in Mindanao, and we were approached. We were approached by the people there, and they said, what can we do in this area? So I took a hard look at it. And what we found is something very interesting. A lot of, this is Mindanao here, but this is Sulu area, and this is where the gas comes from. I'm going to go very quick because the man's giving me the 10-minute signal. So there's only one permit still in place here. All these other permits have been exploration of gas. The gas has been used or found and nothing done with it. So these are all the wells that we found. You can see the red ones are actually where the gas is. So what we said was, why don't we bring a pipeline to Sulu or to Tawi, and let's give them an LNG liquefaction plant. These are the blocks we need to develop. And we will bring ashore the LNG, and we will build a liquefaction plant actually in that area, which would be enough. There's enough gas there to supply the whole of the Philippines for 30, 50 years without doing much more exploring. That project alone will bring in something between 20 and 30 billion US, which we think is big enough to even help for the peace and order and get things resolved in that area. Now I know it's a tough area, but when we first went to Pagbalao, we had the NPA, and I was always told, don't go there, it's a very dangerous area. So this is what we're looking for at the moment in Mindanao. Now the other thing people ask is, the cheapest gas in the world is in America at the moment, which it is. And we're also working there, you'll see the similar thing, to develop an LNG plant. We already have the land in Port Fourchon. This is in Louisiana, in the Gulf. This is what we're building, and we're going through the FERC now. So hopefully with Donald Trump telling him to get rid of all the rules and regulations, he's helping us. This is what we're going to build there. And this will give us another backup with gas to come to Asia, as well as we're also looking at the Caribbean. But this will bring gas to Asia. So with that, I think I'm in time just about it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Before we proceed to the open forum, I kindly request everyone to fill up the evaluation forms provided to you and kindly submit it to any of our EPDP staff. So, again, thank you very much. For those who would like to ask their questions, kindly state your name and your affiliation before asking your question for documentation purposes. So, who would like to shoot the first question?
The Louisiana plant is already existing.
No, the Louisiana plant is an area in what they call Port Fourchon, which is a big area that serves all the Gulf of Mexico. And we've been granted the land, and we're now going through the FERC process. We've all been accepted by FERC. They've had the first open forum for the public and everything, and we've received nothing but encouragement to get it done and done quickly. So yeah, that will be 18 months, 2 years just to get the license.
The Louisiana plant will get its gas from
There's a pipeline that runs 700 meters away from the plant. There's a huge gas line that comes in from the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know if I can go back.
So all the way from Louisiana to Philippines.
I don't have the pipeline. Sorry. The pipeline is very close to the site. That's why we selected the site. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Questions about that. When you look at the data, there are three hubs of prices. We have Japan, we have US, of course, which are the cheapest, and then we have the European. And Japan, of course, is the highest. Why are they so desperate, these prices?
Well, there's always been, people that developed the LNG always wanted to link it to oil, because they were usually the oil companies that had the gas, and they wanted to put some, we'll link it to the oil price, so that if the oil goes up, you have to pay more. If the oil comes down, you'll get a reduction. But then they would always put a floor and a ceiling, so there was a range in there, but it was a big range. So that is one. Then the Henry Hub came in. There was always a Henry Hub American one, which was usually cheaper gas. And then the Americans have developed the ability to extract the gas, the shale gas. Now, shale gas has been known about for many, many years, but they haven't had economical ways to get it out. So now, when there's a demand for gas, they can pull it out. And, at the moment, gas can be less than $3 an MMBTU in America. So if you take gas at, $3, it takes one and a half cents to liquefy it, maybe just over $1 MMBTU to transport it. You've got very, very cheap gas even coming into Asia.
So that's $3 off the port in the US.
Yeah.
Then the transportation to Asia, for example,
It's about $1 an MMBTU.
Okay.
And then you've got to liquefy it. So it's about $5 something MMBTU.
I did ask you about the regasification because I was asked you about that it's going to increase the price of gas here because we have to regasify it. Can you please explain?
Yeah, a lot of people, particularly in the Philippines, when they talk to me, they go, oh, regasification's expensive, regasification's expensive. Now, you will see everything we have to do is to insulate to keep the LNG from actually regasifying itself, and the LNG will actually, what they call boil off, it will actually turn back the gas all by itself. So you spend all the money on keeping it like a thermos plant, all the insulation and keeping it cool to stop it boiling off. Now, as I showed you a couple of places there, you can have these very simple, what they call ambient air, where you just feed it in, and then because we're in hot climates, it regasifies very easy. Or if you want to speed up the process, because sometimes you want to accelerate the gas. For example, if suddenly you need a lot of gas, a lot of power, the seawater ones that we're using actually can accelerate and adjust with it. So, but again, they're very economical. I mean, it doesn't cost more than $1 million for all the equipment for regasification, to give you an idea. So it's not, as people try to explain to you, that it's a very expensive process to regasify. So,
do you have an idea by how much would that add to the cost, the regasification?
a fraction of a cent.
But you have to recover the cost of building your tank as well. So,
Well, you know, of course you have to recover. We've already allowed for that. Even we put a terminal fee. It was, you know, between the normal terminal fees are around at the moment around $80 a ton, something like that. We said about $50 a ton is more than enough as you build up. But it's not quite as worrisome as that, because basically what you have is all assets. When you build something, it's like a hotel. Once you've built it, that asset stays there right at the end, and you've still got its value. Even though you repay it, you've still got its value. It doesn't go to zero overnight. So, in fact, they increase. I mean, the terminal today is valued at about $1 billion. If you take the Singapore and everything as a value, as a developer, for our construction costs, we're less than 200 million.
Good point.
So,
With the life of how many years? What's the life of the building?
Life of the terminal, well, I think that concrete will be there in, you know, a few hundred years' time. and some of the membranes, they don't open them, maybe a check after 30 years, 40 years. So, you know, they would obviously do rechecks, and you've got equipment and gauges inside all the time, checking everything, but basically, it's a long life. But I can see it being built up to about five major tanks there, because once the ship comes in, even to fill that, you're only looking at 1 or 2 ships a week. It's a very low capacity in your jetting.
so from Louisiana to Pampanga, what is the travel time?
I think about 3 to 4 weeks. But again, the ships run on your LNG on the boil off. As it boils off in the ship, that gas goes into the engine, so you're not losing anything. And that's the same with even your tank. Even your tank sits there, you lose a small percentage every day, so even you can give people free electricity, because basically you're going to lose that LNG anyway, right?
so the government's been talking about having third-party equipment in place of third-party access regime, so that anyone would be able to use your terminals. Have you been part of that discussion? Have you used sort of third-party access?
We've said right from day one, we're an open access terminal, so anybody who wants to bring in LNG and store it there and then use it, with no issue with that. That's something we've always said from day one, that this terminal should be made available to anybody. If you have your own LNG coming in, you can store it there and you can take that. Obviously there'll be a handling fee, but that's something we've always said.
What happened to the Manila gas? We used to have Manila gas in Manila before.
You should tell me, sir.
What happened to them?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, I think the company got taken over and all the money got used on other things than gas. The story is that they had a good party one night and spent all the money, but you're right. But you can see the difference. If we imagine we can get city gas and put it into the hotels, put it into the restaurants, put it into the homes, instead of LPG, they're very expensive. But that's the opportunities for your youngsters to start thinking about, and, you know, do you want a city with city gas and be modern, or do you want
So what's left to do? You said that you've got to build a transmission line?
Yeah, we
And a
got
substation. How long is the transmission line?
12 kilometers.
Okay, so transmission line, a substation, and is there
No.
anything else?
start again. We have just got the connection agreement, or we got the connection agreement, let's say last year. The substation position where we have to connect to was only given to us about 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. So, although they told us, yeah, you've got a connection into the wires, we didn't know whether it was here or here. So, we couldn't finalise the land. So now that we know the position, we finalised the land last week.
So you've got all of the land you want for transmission?
We got everything, we're starting to get it all together, but we've only had 3 weeks since we've got given it to us.
Because a lot of people have said it can take years to get the land for transmission. I guess you must have...
Well, it can take years, but fortunately we've got people who are going to now going to deal with us to do with the land. But the government can also use eminent domain, and maybe should have used eminent domain to do it. You know, it depends how much, and going back to the original, that's why I put it up there, the original presidential decree clearly states that every department should help the natural gas industry get started, and that means we all know that you need a connection, so please help with a connection, please help, everything. There's still, the Department of Energy says we are the only one who could do a permit for an LNG plant. Okay, we got the LNG, we got the permit from the Department of Energy. You go to site, they say, oh, stop work, you don't have a permit. You know, so which permit is, so, as I said, it's more fun. We shouldn't look at this as being critical. We're looking at an early time of an industry that's coming into the Philippines, and it's going to take some time to sort out, and we're part of that learning curve. So we pay the price of being first, and we have to go through these issues.
But you'll be properly compensated.
Well, what we said, and there's another issue which I think is important for all of you youngsters who pay tax. Does anybody pay income tax yet? Well, what they said many years ago, we've got to privatise the power industry because it was inefficient. So they privatised the power industry. Now, when we came in with the energy, we said we're going to do it privately. We don't want any subsidy. We're going to put up the power station. We don't want any offtake because the government said no more offtake. You will sell into the West End. You will be competitive. You will get cheaper price to the people of the Philippines. We accepted all this and we want to work to that because that's how you have competitive business. Now, they're talking, there has been some talk that PNOC would like to build a terminal which would use government's money. Now, there's a question, do you want to spend government's money to build a terminal when the private sector will build it and operate it? That's up to the taxpayers.
Well, what happened to the project of Shell to set up LNG terminals in Batangas?
Well, if you listen to the history of LNG in the Philippines, it's lots of talk and no action. They've all talked about terminals, the Batman pipeline project, the Japanese have talked about it, Shell's talked about it.
But also in Batangas,
No, but they've all talked about it, but no one's done, really only wants to do something.
So the only people who've actually done anything at all.
you're the more serious guy.
Maybe the more stupid.
But being first, you will make a lot of money. That's the beauty.
Being first, I've been told we will lose money. I tell everybody, thank you for caring so much about my money.
Well, one of the reasons I asked about third-party access is because they're also talking about the regulator basically setting the alternative charges. And I wondered if you had any, because certainly everybody in the electricity industry has discovered that having the regulator set the prices less than ideal.
We don't mind. You know, it's going through, you gotta realize that this is the first LNG terminal. It was the first permit. We were going through the whole learning curve. So there will be people that raise these questions and somebody will say this and somebody will say that. It's not unexpected. Am I frustrated at times? Of course I am. It's taken longer. Do I have shareholders that get annoyed? Of course I get shareholders. But we have to tell them, this is the price you pay in Asia. We've got to be patient. We've got to get it finished. And I think the rewards will come in the future. Let's have some youngsters. We got
About the am I right? This is 650 megawatts.
Yeah.
What's your projected net generating once it starts operating? What's your projected net generating capacity.
From 0 to 650. The day you wanted him in the...
Yeah.
When I first came and built Navotas, I first went to see National Power Corporation and I said to Mr. Avoitis, would you like a power station? Because I've just built one in China. And he said, I've got to have 200 megawatts in 8 months, otherwise I can't do anything, I'll be out of a job. So I built him 200. We were able to find one in America, a second-hand one. We shipped it over, we put it together in 8 months. During that time, we all talked about, oh, it's for peaking, you know, because of that blackouts hadn't really started. So how do you price a peaking? How do you price it? So we found a way to price a peaking. Did it run as peaking? It ran as base load for the next 8 years. You have a country with 100 million people. Somebody said 105 last week, but 100 million people here. You have a per capita consumption of only about 500-600 kilowatt hours per person. You don't have any LNG here. We're the first LNG terminal. When Japan started in 1969, they introduced their first LNG in 1969, and as well as building nuclear plants, coal plants, and gas-fired plants, today they import 86 million tons a year of LNG. Now, do you believe the Philippines LNG will go down? It can't go down because it's 0, right? It can only go up. The only question is, how fast will it go up? Will it be 1 million tons a year? 500,000 tons a year for the next 20 years? Well, I can tell you, 70% of all the seamen on LNG tankers around the world are Filipinos. But they can't even bring a ship into the Philippines because there's no tank to put the LNG in. We tried to flag the ship, the LNG ship. We wanted to flag it, you know, so that we would give some kudos to the Philippines. Say, let's flag the ship in the Philippines. It's almost impossible to flag an LNG carrier here in the Philippines. So, you know, we got new things to learn. You've got the greatest seaman in the world that's driving these ships. You've got 100 million people that want clean fuel. There's nothing stopping the growth of LNG in the future. The only question will it be a fast growth or a slower growth or a bit slower? But it's going to grow. So am I taking a risk? Crossing the road, yes.
Congratulations.
Do you have other questions from our participants? Or... Okay.
Just a comment on the chart where you showed Greenpeace propaganda saying that coal will kill Atlanta. I think it's Japan has 99 times the coal consumption of the Philippines. And South Korea with less than half the population, 6 times the population of the coal consumption in the Philippines. Also, there's propaganda by Greenpeace that coal is so that can kill and cause massive deaths and disease, massive sickness and diseases in Japan and South Korea. So I think that those things should be avoided.
Well, I think there's several things in this. It's a very good point. I think generally now, you know, except for, let's say, Donald Trump and a few, most people realize that the world weather is changing and things like that. We have seen Yolanda here. There was more, so I took some of them out actually, you know, because the point is weather is changing. We've got some more severe tropical storms, hurricanes, typhoons, call them what you want in different parts of the world. People are getting killed with them. There's definitely a change in the weather pattern. Now, my father smoked 80 cigarettes a day, and he died at 65. Now, my father's like Japan. They smoke a lot of cigarettes. This country smokes less cigarettes. But it doesn't matter. If you're smoking over here, like they tell you now, people that sit next to you in a plane or here, you're getting some effect. The world weather goes round and round. Now, I agree with you, the Philippines is in a good position, we're in the middle of the ocean, but worldwide we should all try to do something to reduce the ashtrays. As I said, you don't find the ashtrays in restaurants anymore, so they must have had a reason.
So maybe you should be putting lots of solar panels on your site as well.
Solar panels are fantastic, but when the wind stops and the sun stops, somebody has to keep the lifts and the fire pumps working. And this is a big problem all over, because the question is, who will pay to be on standby? This is a big issue and will end up being here. The more you have is the solar and the wind. You try to live in a building with no lifts, and you see how many multi-story buildings they're building? They need the lifts working in the dark. So there's got to come to all these things that have got to be resolved. I think you're saying my time is up here.
There is an ongoing debate as to whether it's LNG or whether it's storage solutions that provide the backup. I think only time will tell who wins that particular race.
But there's room for everybody, right? There will be coal-fired power stations will continue, LNG will come in and grow, solar will grow, geothermal will grow, everything will grow, right? You still need thousands and thousands of megawatts and you need it economical, so I wouldn't worry too much. I'm not trying to push the coal aside. What I'm trying to do is encourage some clean fuel to come to the Philippines.
And this is one really big.
So do you need your tanks to be finished before you can do the break bulk you were talking about?
We can bring the ship in.
Okay, so you basically do that, right? So are you?
Not at the moment.
When do we expect the first electricity from the LNG?
I think about 6 months, and they're tidying everything up now. I think we're pretty close this last few weeks. There's a big hearing at the Energy Regulatory Authority on the 28th next month that we're waiting for some. So I think we're virtually there now. Sorry.
It's good that, well, first Jen was here and they were talking about LNG, but they want a lot of support and even subsidy from the government. Hopefully, it's good that you do that even without asking, chuba from the government.
Everybody wants subsidy from the government, right? So that's what I said to you. If you want to pay it, please, feel free. But the government and the finance department many years ago with power, and I should say the same with all what we're doing, let the private sector do it. They're more efficient, save you the tax money. There's enough you can spend the taxpayers' money on in this country. If the private sector, they shouldn't compete with the private sector.
And just looking at the business model of the operation, so you said that you can transfer different modes of transporting the LNG, right? So does it mean that aside from electricity, there can be another third party who would gasify the
Sure.
liquid? Another third party can
That's what we're saying, that's what we're talking about. If somebody wants to just buy the LNG and take it and for city gas or this, that's what we're trying to get.
So do you have any discussions already with those third parties?
The industrial group have sent a whole team there, and they're waiting. Many of the small islands are talking to us. People asked me the other day at the last conference, could we put LNG in your tank? I said, sure, come and talk to us. I mean, there's a lot of people now.
So I think Manila gas will be revived.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's it is very useful. They terminal now.
So we're taking the first LNG
It can come now. But I'm not trying to compete, I'm not trying to avoid it, because everybody asks me the same question, and that's not what I'm trying to say. What we wanted to do was get the first terminal, get it up and running. Everybody is, you can see there's a lot of things by government has to get right, and transmission lines have to be right, and everything. I mean, the question you should ask is ask the government, you see them quite often, ask them why they don't help with some of these other things, because
Well, America will be very competitive in supplying LNG. Why? Because when they start exploiting the Marcellus gas,
I've got to be able to tell you, we've got gas in Australia, we've got gas in Indonesia, but I also want gas in America, so that if something happens, I can guarantee the Philippines.
in fact, I was talking to First Gen yesterday, and there will be a massive supply, he said, already in the future. So it's
A market,
massive supply.
massive supply. Sure.
It's supply by the companies. The facilities have to be
Sure. That's what we need. Anyway, can I say thank you all very much? I think this lady keeps saying enough time. I got one I got one question to ask all you youngsters mainly, right? In this world, I notice I come in here,